Hi YouTube, I'm Cassandra Mack of strategiesforempoweredliving.com and CassandraMackMinistries.com. So I know it has been quite a while since I have brought you a video, with the exception of the videos that I upload from my Sunday morning Hour of Power church by phone service, which is really an audio upload. I have been very busy working on my latest book, which is entitled Unleash Your Unstoppable, which is a book of prayers, scriptures, and tactical, practical strategies to transform your mindset, your emotional outlook, and your habits for victorious living, and to help you unlock more of your potential. That's what this book will help you to do. And it is available at Amazon.com, Unleash Your Unstoppable. So today's video is done by request. A young woman wrote into me named Rebecca from Michigan, and she asked the question, how do you know when someone is trying to erode your confidence? So we're going to title this video, Confidence Thieves, how to know when someone is coming for your confidence. That's what we're going to talk about. And Rebecca, since we are using your question for the topic, you will get a complimentary copy of my book, Unleash Your Unstoppable. You will get that, and that will definitely help you build up your confidence. And so, you know, we all encounter what I call confidence thieves. People in your midst who try to erode your confidence, who try to make you feel like who you are is not enough, who try to minimize your presence or make you feel insignificant. This is what they try to do. And one of the key ways to deal with a confidence thief is to recognize it to begin with, so that you don't internalize when someone is trying to come for your confidence. So let's just look at some synonyms for the word confidence, so we're all on the same page. So confidence really is about your belief in yourself, self-assurance, courage, tenacity, and determination. These are all synonyms for the word confidence. So the interesting piece here is that when someone is coming for your confidence, whether it's someone at your job, someone in your social circle, someone in your family, someone at your church, they're not just coming for your self-assurance, that's a piece of it, but they're also coming for your courage. They're coming for your tenacity, which is your inner resolve, that will to not give up. And they're coming for your determination, which is your persistence, your ability to keep on keeping on, even in the face of trials, challenges, and adversity. So that's what a person is coming for when they're coming for your confidence. So you need to take it seriously if you have somebody in your midst who's trying to erode your confidence. Now, when a person is coming for your confidence, they do so by trying to break down your self-esteem. There is a relationship between your confidence and your self-esteem. A lot of people use these two words interchangeably, confidence and self-esteem, but they are not one and the same thing. They are not synonyms for one another. As I said, your confidence is about your self-assurance, your courage, your tenacity. They're related, confidence and self-esteem, but they're not the exact same thing. Your self-esteem, in a nutshell, is your mental estimation of your worthiness as a person. It's a mental estimation process that you come to by way of your core beliefs, your outlook, your inlook, and your experiences of your overall worth as a person. And so a person who is a confidence thief tries to slowly erode your sense of self-esteem. And in order to have positive, healthy self-esteem, there are 4 criteria, which I call the building blocks of healthy self-esteem. And that criteria is: you must feel lovable, you must feel valuable, you must feel capable, and you must feel worthy. So you got to feel lovable, like somebody loves you on this planet, even if it starts with self-love, you loving you. You got to feel like you are worthy of love in order to begin to have a healthy mental estimation of who you are as a person, of your worth. But you also got to feel valuable, like you matter, like you add value to the world, like you come to contribute something, like you come to leave the world a better place. But then you also have to feel capable. You have to feel like you have gifts and talents and competencies and strengths. And then lastly, you have to feel worthy as a human being. And so these are the 4 criteria or conditions that must be met in order to develop positive self-esteem. If you see someone who has low self-esteem, usually one of these 4 conditions has not been met. One of these 4 criteria is either they feel like they're unlovable, they feel like they're not valuable, they feel like they are incapable or incompetent, or they feel like they're unworthy. So it's one of these 4 things that are usually going on, and most of the time we don't even know it. And so when a confidence thief is coming for your confidence, they generally try to attack you psychologically in one of these 4 areas, and it's important to recognize it. So number 1, they will try to make you believe that you are unlovable, that nobody will ever love you, that you are not even worthy to be loved. So if ever you've been in a relationship where someone said to you, nobody's ever going to love you, who will put up with you? If you end things with me, if we break up, nobody's ever going to love you. Just look at you. Look at what a mess you are. Look at how much weight you gained. Look at what an emotional mess you are. Who's going to love you? And they start doing a Jedi mind trick on your self-assurance. And if you begin to allow those words to take root in your spirit and in your mental space and in your emotional space, then you start thinking, well, maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not that lovable. I mean, who is going to want me? And the reality is that it's a lie from the pit of hell. It's a lie from the pit of hell. Now, that's really a lie, the lie from the pit of hell. And the reality is there are billions of people on the planet. And unless you met every human being on the planet, and every human being, I don't know how many billions of people there are on the planet, but I'm sure one of you can tell me in the comments section. Unless you've met every one of them and each and every one of them rejected you, then you have to know that just based on logic alone, that's impossible, that no one is ever going to love you. So you can challenge that belief. You can challenge that thinking. You can challenge that lie. Even if you don't challenge the person verbally in your mind, you can say to yourself, I don't receive that. I refuse to receive that I'm not lovable. Say it in your mind. Say it to yourself. Build your own self up. I refuse to receive that. In fact, I am quite lovable. There are many things to love about me. And start counting them off one by one in your own head. There are many things to love about me. My sense of humor, my loyalty, my integrity makes me a lovable person. The way that I care about other people, that makes me lovable. Start thinking about all the things about you that are lovable. And if you're working on yourself, that makes you lovable. We are all worthy to be loved. I want to give you the scriptural reference for it so that you have that. And it comes from 1 John chapter 3, verse 1. And it reads, Behold, what manner of love the Father has bestowed on us, that we should be called children of God. Therefore, the world does not know us, because it did not know him. And so this is a reminder that we are so loved that we're referred to as children of God. You are a child of God. That alone makes you lovable. If you are living and breathing, and I'm assuming that there are no dead people watching this video, that y'all are all alive, then you are a child of God. And that alone, we can stop right there. I can end the video right here. That alone makes you lovable. Don't you let nobody run up in your life and make you believe that you are not lovable. You are a child of God, and that makes you lovable alone. And if you need to say it to yourself, you put the video on pause, stand in front of a mirror, and say, I am a child of God, and that alone makes me lovable. Start counting your lovable qualities. I am a good person. I am a loyal person. I am working on myself. And the list goes on. But then the scripture goes on to say, the world does not know us because it didn't know him. See, it's a lot of people that know of God, but don't really have the love of God and the light of God operating in their lives. And that doesn't mean we're perfect. Nobody's perfect. But if an individual can't reflect the love and light of God, they don't know God for themselves, then they really can't be receptive to you. And so know that it's not personal. It's also where they are within their own development. And this helps you to know that you are always worthy to be loved, just for the fact that you are a child of God. So you say that to yourself. You remind yourself every day that you are a child of God, and God saw fit to give you life. God saw fit to give you a purpose, even if you haven't figured out what that purpose is. God saw fit to give you opportunities, even if you are not where you want to be. If you're alive and breathing and you've got a brain that works, there are opportunities all around you. So you build yourself up and don't let anyone make you believe that you are not worthy to be loved. So when you start seeing that, you recognize that that's the person who's coming for your confidence, and you treat them with a long spoon. That means you put some emotional distance there, because you see where they are within themselves, and that they're trying to come for your courage, your tenacity, your determination. And see, when you're dealing with someone who's coming for your confidence, understand that they're not just coming for your belief in yourself. They're coming for your courage, your tenacity, your determination. This is important, because let's say you're working at a job where you are determined to stay focused on the big picture, independent of the shenanigans and the gossip and the shysty and shady behavior going on at that company. You're determined to stay focused on your big picture goal, whatever that goal may be. It may be that you've got 5 more years until you retire at a full pension. It may be that you want to do another year at this job to use as a stepping stone so that you can get the experience and put it on a resume. Whatever your reasons are for being at that job. It might be that you need the money to pay off your mortgage, to pay your rent until something better comes through. Whatever your personal reasons are for being at that job, don't let anybody take your determination away, because when they're coming for your confidence, they're trying to break you, so that if you are in a space where you're determined that you're not going to leave that job until you're good and ready and you get what you need from that job, someone can break you if you allow them to erode your confidence. They might break your tenacity, that resolve, that willpower to say, I'm not going to get caught up in the pettiness. I'm not going to respond to the foolishness. Whatever the issue is that you are tenacious and determined about, when a person is coming for your confidence, they're coming for your tenacity and determination. So even keep that in mind when you're dealing with a coworker or even a boss who's trying to come for your confidence. The second aspect of how a person will try to come for your confidence, or the second way, is that they will try to make you believe that you have no value apart from whatever value that they assign you. This is a big one. They'll try to make you believe that you have no value. Now, remember, we said the core building blocks for self-esteem are being lovable, knowing that you're lovable, you're worthy of love, knowing that you have value, knowing that you are capable, and knowing that you are worthy as a human being. And so if they can't break you down in terms of your lovability, they will try to break you down in terms of your value, making you believe that you have no value apart from whatever value they assign to you. So you see this in relationships oftentimes, particularly an abusive relationship. You see this when the person who is the perpetrator of the abuse will try to convince the victim that they have no value aside from your place as my husband, my wife, my boyfriend, my girlfriend. Your only value to me is to cook, to clean. Your only value to me is to have sex on demand. You have no value outside of that. Why are you trying to go back to school? Why are you trying to better yourself? You're not valuable. And they might not use the word valuable, but everything in their behavior indicates that that's what they're trying to convince you of, that you have no value. And the danger of internalizing this and receiving and believing that you have no value is that you will stay in places that you've outgrown. You will tolerate behavior that you don't need to tolerate, and you won't set clear boundaries because you believe that you don't have any value, that this is as good as it gets. And you have to understand that you absolutely do have value. You have value because you have a purpose. If you have a purpose in life, and we all are born with a purpose, then you have value. Purpose and value go hand in hand. Ecclesiastes 3:1, this is the scripture for it, tells us to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. And so you have to know that you have purpose, and to everything there is a season. So you may be at a job where you are in a season of learning. And this is a season where you are at that job to learn everything you need to learn about the industry, the inner workings of the industry, the inner workings of your job function. And it's not about getting caught up in who don't like you, who's not recognizing you publicly, who's not giving you praise, because you're in a season of learning. This is why you got to know the season you are in. You hear me talk about this a lot, particularly for those of you who are part of Cassandra Mack Ministries and you come to the Sunday morning hour Power Church by phone service. I talk a lot about you got to know the season you are in. You may be in a season of mentorship, needing someone to mentor you. And a lot of times when you are in a season of mentorship, and I'm speaking spiritually, God will connect you with somebody you don't like, or somebody who's really hard to deal with, but there's an aspect of their life experience and their wisdom that you need to gain, and you need to be able to push past your feelings of unpleasantness to be able to gain what you need to gain. Case in point, in the story of Ruth and Naomi, it was interesting because Naomi was Ruth's mother-in-law, and Naomi lost her sons. And the Bible goes on to say that she changed her name to Mara, which meant bitter. So Ruth is now connected to a bitter mother-in-law. So she couldn't have been a walk in the park to deal with. This is her mother-in-law, and she's so bitter that she changes her name to bitter, to Mara, which means bitter. So she's in this place where she can't be easy to get along with. But the next season of Ruth's purpose was connected to Naomi. Ruth needed Naomi to get to Boaz, because it was in going to the country with Naomi, that Ruth was put in a position to be able to meet Boaz. And so sometimes you may be with a boss who is a little hard to tolerate, or once things done, I'm getting tongue tied here, a certain way. And if you can't get past personality differences, even if they are difficult, it's going to be hard to get what you need. You might need access to this person's resources. You might need access to their experiences so that you can up-level your life for the next season of your life. Now, for Ruth, her next season had to do with finding a husband, Boaz. But your next season may be growth in your ministry, growth in your business. And God may connect you to someone who has resources, connections, is connected to a network that you don't have and you need, and you can't let ego get in the way of that. Sometimes you got to eat humble pie, even in the face of somebody else's bitterness and arrogance. And that's a hard pill to swallow. But how ready are you? How ready are you? And so it's important to understand that that is part of the process. You got to know the season you're in, because if you know the season you're in, you can say to yourself, even if my supervisor never says great job, I know that I'm making an impact with my customers and my clients. And the season I'm in is that I need 2 more years to pay off my son or my daughter's college, or I need 3 more years at this job to be able to do this particular thing and reach this particular goal. So I'm not going to get caught up in the personalities that I don't like, because the bigger picture is this is my ultimate goal, and I'm focused on the ultimate win. And so you got to know the season you're in, and you have to know that you do add value. So if no one gives you a pat on the back, begin to think about the ways that you add value. Begin to think about that for yourself. So if the boss never says good job, but you have clients that say to you, I would have never been able to get access to housing. Let's say you work for the a homeless population. I would have never been able to get access to housing if it wasn't for your assistance. Well, that right there tells you that you're making a difference. And if you're making a difference, you add value. So this is important to understand so that you don't let anybody make you believe that you are not a valuable human being, that you don't have value. This is important. The third thing that a confidence thief will come for is they will try to make you believe that you are incapable as a human being. This is a big one. You got to watch for this. They will try to make you believe that you are incompetent, that you are incapable. Now, none of us know everything, right? And we all have areas where we could use a little help. For me, it's technology. That is just not something I'm good at. And most of the time, it's my son or even the YouTube viewers who will give me little tips and techniques to help me in that area. That is not an area of my gifting and my calling. But it doesn't mean that I'm incompetent as a human being, and the same thing goes for you. So there may be things that you don't know about your job, right? I'm going to use the job as an example, but that does not make you incompetent as a human being, because as long as you got a brain, you can think, you can plan, you can research what you don't know, you can ask for help, you can ask a coworker, you can watch a video, a tutorial video to learn how to do something, you can take a class, you can read an article, you can do a Google search, and the list goes on. You can shadow somebody with more experience, you can hire a coach. But the point is, you are not incapable as a human being, even if there are certain things that you don't know how to do. Everybody starts off learning. Nobody knows everything. Even if you're trying to learn how to be a good cook, you're gonna burn a few dishes. I burnt quite a few casseroles before I learned how to be an amazing cook. Now I can bake you under the bus. I bake from scratch and make ice cream from scratch. Sometimes you see it in my weight. I've been eating a little bit too much of the stuff I bake. But the point that I'm making is it didn't start out that way. I had to burn a few pots to learn how to cook. And the same thing goes for you at your job or in any aspect of your life where you are trying to improve yourself. You got to know, particularly for the believers, let me give you the scriptural reference for this. Philippians 4:13 tells us, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So if you are a believer, then you have the strength of Christ operating in you. This means that you have a sound mind, right? The Bible tells us that God hasn't given us a spirit of fear, but a spirit of power, love, and a sound mind. A sound mind is a mind that can think logically, rationally, strategically, innovatively, ingenuitively, imaginatively. And so if you got all this stuff going on and you're created in the image and likeness of God, then the lie from the pit of hell is that you are incompetent. There is nothing incompetent about you. You just got to figure out what it is you're good at, and you may have a longer learning curve than somebody else. But it doesn't mean that you are incapable, or maybe you haven't found your niche. You might be in the wrong niche and you may need to readjust your sales. That's it. But you are not stupid or incompetent. Don't receive that. So if somebody says to you or implies you are the dumbest person I've ever met, you are so incompetent, you say to yourself, I refuse to internalize that. I refuse to receive those words. I am not incompetent as a human being. I may not know how to do this particular task, but I am not incompetent. I will figure it out. I will ask for help. I will learn it. Or if it's an issue of me being in the wrong niche, then I will come up with a plan to adjust my sales. But I refuse to internalize that I am incompetent. That's your stuff. That ain't mine. Now, you don't have to say this. You could if you choose to. You got to use wisdom and discretion. Is it wise? But you say it to yourself so that you don't internalize the notion that you are incompetent as a human being. Proverbs, the book of Proverbs, I believe it is 18:16, tells us a man's gifts, meaning a human being's gifts, a man's gifts makes room for him and brings him in the presence of great men. And so you have to know that when you begin to really figure out what it is you're good at, what it is you do well, where your strengths and your skills lie, your gifts make room for you. That means you will find your place in the world. You will find your place in the job market. You will find your place in it might be your own business, but you will find your place in the world. But you got to nurture your gifts to figure that out. And then it says, and brings him before great men. And so essentially what this means is it brings you before people who can help you, people who can be an assistance to you. Sometimes a person, and this is real, will try to break you down in terms of making you feel like you're incompetent and incapable, is because they see your potential and it makes them insecure. And they want to have you so wound up emotionally, so insecure, that you don't really thrive and you don't work at your full capacity, so that the higher ups at your company don't notice you and you don't become a threat to those around you. So you got to be willing to keep it real with yourself and say, you know, this is what's really going on here. Let me not be in denial that it is what it is. Fourth and final way that I want to speak of today, that a confidence thief will try to steal your confidence, is they'll try to make you believe that you are unworthy at the core, that you're unworthy as a human being. Now this one is deep, because this is really about trying to invalidate your existence and minimize your presence. Remember, I talked about the 4 building blocks of self-esteem. You got to feel lovable, valuable, and capable and worthy. And they will attack you in these one or if not all of these 4 areas. And so whenever you're dealing with someone who wants to make you feel like you are unworthy at the core, it is really about minimizing your presence. They will try to shun you, isolate you. They will bully you through isolation, get a group of people to not talk to you, to make it so uncomfortable that you don't even want to show up for work, and you start thinking, what's wrong with me? You got to know that when an individual is trying to make you feel unworthy, and usually this manifests itself by trying to minimize your presence, trying to invalidate your existence, trying to basically say, we don't see you, we don't see you, we don't see you, which essentially is saying you don't belong, we're rejecting you. But you got to know that regardless of the shenanigans and whatever tactics that people may be using around you to try to really come for your confidence, to try to come for your tenacity in the area of your worthiness, to try to come for your courage to be yourself, your courage to be authentically you in the area of your worthiness, you got to know that that's a lie from the pit of hell. You are absolutely worthy. But you got to know this mentally, emotionally, and you got to know this in terms of your habits and your choices. Your habits and choices have to reflect that you know this at the core. Now, I want to give you the scriptural reference that lets you know how worthy you are. Psalm 139:14 says this: I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works, and this my soul knows well. Now, understand what's happening here when David is saying this prayer. First of all, he's giving God the praise for making him. Now, at first glance, if you don't really understand the nuances of this prayer, it could seem egotistical, but it is not in the least. He is saying, thank you, Lord, for loving me, that you love me so much. You wanted me to have life abundantly so much that you made me fearfully and wonderfully, because the Bible says that we're made in the image and likeness of God. And so if we're made in the image and likeness of God, we're made to reflect God's love and light, then we're made fearfully and wonderfully. And fearfully doesn't mean a cowardice fear, but it means a reverential fear, that there should be something about your being, your personality, your character, your integrity, that people have a reverential respect for you. That's what that word fearfully means in that context. And wonderfully made, that there should be wonder. People should marvel at the fact you haven't lost it. People should wonder and marvel, how were you able to not go toe-to-toe with that coworker, knowing that they were being petty and childish, but you focused on your work? People will wonder and marvel, how did you go in that meeting and advocate for yourself, knowing that there were 3 people who were in cahoots to try to turn everyone against you, but you still spoke up and you held your ground, but you did it with class and tact. I'm in awe. I'm in wonder. I'm in wonder of how you were able to maintain that. See, there should be an aspect of how you get down, how you carry yourself, how you come across, that people have no choice but to marvel, because you don't look like what you've been through. They should marvel at how you're able to keep your head up every day you go to work, independent of the fact that you got snitches and low down chicks and low down dudes talking about you behind your back, trying to make you uncomfortable to the point where you can't have no peace. They gotta marvel that you don't even look like the terror that you're going through on this job. You don't even look like that. Or maybe you're going through it in your relationship at home, but you come to work every day with a smile, ready to work, focused. You don't look like what you, but people got to wonder. See, when you're a believer, your fountain of youth is spiritual. And this is why you still have tenacity, determination, courage, and self-assurance in spite of the fact that there were people in your midst coming for your confidence. You got to know that. You got to know that. But then the psalm is a little deeper. Let's really break this down. So the psalm says, and marvelous are your works. Now we're included in those marvelous works. Just like we marvel at the sky, you got to marvel at a human being. When you see a baby and new life is introduced into the world, this is something that you marvel at. But it goes even deeper. It says, my soul knows this very well. So what David is saying is, in my soul. Now remember, the soul is a synonym for the mind. The soul is comprised of three parts. The mind, which is not the brain. The mind is the thoughts, the beliefs. The brain is the physical organ. So the soul is comprised of your mind, your emotions, and your will. Your will is the epicenter of your choices. And so essentially what he's saying is, mentally, I got this, I know this in my mind. My thoughts know this, my thoughts and beliefs are aligned with the fact that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. So I'm not going to think anything less. That's what essentially this is saying. But not only my mind, my emotions. So my feelings, my attitude, my outlook is going to align with the fact that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Yeah, I'm going to have some rough days, but at the end of the day, I'm going to come back to the fact that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, even though I had some rough days. So my mind knows this, my emotions, my feelings know this. But my will knows this. Now, what's the will? The epicenter of my choices. So my choices will reflect the fact that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. I get it mentally, I get it emotionally, and my choices are demonstrative of the fact that I understand who I am, and I don't need you to validate me. And sometimes you got to let folks know, I don't need you to validate me. I could look in the mirror and validate myself. And sometimes you got to get in that space with yourself. It's not about conceit. It's about when you're dealing with people who are trying to come for your confidence. They're trying to come for your strength, your self-assurance, your courage, your tenacity, your determination. Listen, you got to do what you got to do to keep on keeping on. And I want to leave you with one last scripture. And I love it. It comes from the book of Hebrews, chapter 10, verse 35. And it says, therefore, do not throw away your confidence, which has a great reward. Let me say it again, because I'm getting tongue-tied. Therefore, do not throw away your confidence, which has a great reward. Now, this is deep here, because essentially what the scripture is letting us know is that it's not so much that people take our confidence from us. It's that we throw it away. Don't throw away your confidence. If I throw away this piece of paper, right? If I just throw it in the garbage, what that essentially denotes is that it's mine to begin with. I'm holding on to it. So what this lets us know is no one can really take your confidence from you, but they can assault it. They can assault your self-esteem. They can try to minimize your presence. They can try to minimize the fact that you're lovable, valuable, capable, and worthy, to the point where you begin to let your confidence go a little bit at a time until you throw it away. But it says, do not throw away your confidence, which has a great reward. So when you hold on to your confidence, there's a reward. The reward is self-respect. The reward is peace. The reward is tenacity, the ability to just keep on. The reward is determination, your perseverance, your persistence. The reward is courage, the ability to do the hard thing, even if you got to do it afraid. The reward is self-assurance. You may not have all the answers, but you're going to go in there and give it your best shot. That's your reward. So don't throw away your confidence. So when you go to work tomorrow and you deal with them fools on your job who try to come for your confidence, hold on to your confidence. Tell yourself, I'm not throwing it away. And if you have to, get yourself a little sticky, write the word confidence on your post-it note, and put it somewhere. Your pocketbook, your purse, on your person, on your laptop, is totally up to you, as a reminder that you are not going to throw away your confidence. And don't tell nobody what you're doing. Oh, why you got the word confidence on your thing? No reason. No reason. And if you don't want to put it out where it's conspicuous, then you put it in an inconspicuous place, so that you can remind yourself, I'm not going to let these fools make me throw away my confidence, because I need my confidence for my courage, my determination, and my tenacity. So with that being said, Rebecca, you got this. You got this. Your confidence belongs to you. Always remember, you hold the pen that writes the chapters of your life. Make your story an amazing one. And you can always come worship with me each and every Sunday. And the Cassandra Mack Ministries family is a growing family of people of faith from all around the country, really all around the globe, who join us every Sunday morning for church by phone. And you'll see the flyer at the end, so you can join us this Sunday if you'd like to. You hold the pen that writes the chapters of your life. Make your story an amazing one. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.